Our cruise on Royal Caribbean's Wonder of the Seas ported in both St. Thomas and St. Martin, but we approached these 2 days very differently. On one, we took a ship excursion to a beach, while the other was a self-led day to a resort with pool passes. Which one do you think we liked better? And are these the right excursions for you? Let's find out.
Look outside.
What's outside?
That city was too far.
It's too far away?
Yeah, because we're not home. Look outside.
Oh, because there's water out there between us and the...
Yeah, because that looks like Disney World again.
It looks like Disney World again?
Yeah.
That's not Disney World, that's St. Thomas. There's a beautiful beach we're gonna go to today. One of the great things about many of the Caribbean ports is how you literally walk right off the ship and are in the port shopping area. Quick and easy. In St. Thomas, a U.S. Virgin Island, we got to meet some of the local wildlife. These iguanas were everywhere. And we had some time before our ship excursion, which we purchased through Royal Caribbean, so we went to check out the shops. As a family with a gluten and dairy-free diet, we researched a bit before our trip and found out, to our great luck, that a raw food vegan restaurant with many gluten-free options was available right in the port area. So we went to check out Speedy Redemption. But it didn't go exactly as planned, and we headed back to the ship for lunch. Our expectations were pretty low for that port. But it was a nice little diversion. We got some goggles for Nora at one of the gift shops, and they were cheaper than on board, because on board the goggles are like $25. She's excited because we got them for only $16. And we tried to check out the vegan place that has gluten-free options, but they were closed. The owners are on vacation for the week. I hope you have a good vacation. At least getting back to the ship was super easy. And before long, it was time to join the crowds outside for our trip to Magens Bay Beach, the most famous beach in St. Thomas.
So, no, not a real issue here, but I do have to say the signage is not great. We're just kind of waiting here for heading over to the shuttle. There's not a whole lot of crew from the ship directing people. The signage is a little outdated because it's listing excursions that have already left at our station number. No emergencies, but it's not quite what I would have expected. We're at the 20-minute mark now of just sort of standing here waiting. I'll keep you informed when we move.
We're moving!
Clock it. 23 minutes. 23.
The Magens Bay Beach Getaway excursion was really just a shuttle ride to the beach. There were no meals provided or beach chairs or any other frills, but it did the job eventually. Wait, is that a thing? The driver told us to keep the big part of the ticket for our tax write-off. What do you think? Is this a work expense? Okay. The drive to the other side of the island was not short. You get to see some beautiful coastline and even one of our favorite ships also in port that day. We see you, Disney Cruise Line. But the tram-style ride was very steep and bumpy. And some of the residential neighborhoods made you realize this was not just a resort destination. There was a little glimpse of local life on that drive. And then we stopped for pictures at a lookout point. The view up here is gorgeous, but my kids are very interested. Who's ready for a wild day playing at the beach? Not what I expected. Once we arrived, I was getting strong state park vibes, from the picnic tables to the bathroom facilities. I do suspect the looming clouds were part of what put a damper on our moods about Magens Bay Beach.
Dad! We're going to get your phone wet.
No, don't.
I'm glad we got a beach day in. The kids are having fun in the sand. But to be honest, there's just not a whole lot going on here. And it's a little bit overcast today, so if we'd gotten that Coco Cay day and spent that day at the beach, this would have felt entirely unnecessary. But some people are loving it. What do you think, Axon?
No. No, it's the beach. I'll go to deck A.
Because our driver left during the day, it wasn't an option to decide to go back early. But after a few hours, it was time to return. And as the sun started to set, we had a beautiful view of the ships in port below. That excursion wasn't full of amenities, but we got what we needed back on the ship. And for only around $140 for our whole family, it was a very economical day. The next day, we arrived in St. Martin, a Dutch Virgin Island, and set out for a pool day. We walked past all the groups gathering for the official Royal Caribbean ship excursions and headed through the port shopping to the taxi stand. I brought a booster seat for the baby, but there's no seat belts.
Oh.
Soon we arrived at the Morgan Resort, where we had pre-purchased pool passes for the day.
Shut up.
With an infinity pool and hot tub overlooking the ocean, we immediately settled into the sleek beach decor and bopped along to their tunes.
I have a secret to tell you. These are our goggles.
The Morgan Resort is right across the parking lot from the St. Martin Airport. So there were planes taking off and landing the whole time we were there, which we think is pretty cool. And my littlest av geek was beside himself with all the planes.
I'm going to talk about two things. I'm going to talk about our taxi process to get here, and I'm going to talk about the check-in process. So first, we got off of the ship and we walked through the sort of port area with the diamond stores and the jewelry stores and the watch stores and all that stuff that has no real bearing to this location. And we got through and we got to the taxi stand and we were like, we're going to the Morgan Resort in Simpson Bay. Going to the Morgan Resort in Simpson Bay. Going to the Morgan Resort in Simpson Bay. And they're like, Margot? 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 And we're like, no. Turns out the Margot is like about 8 feet away from us, and it's actually where the planes come in and where they leave. So lots of people go there. It's also a beach, so there were a lot of people sitting on the beach watching the planes take off. It was actually a really cool, interesting space. We had a couple from Vancouver sitting next to us on the taxi ride, and they intently were going to Margot. The taxis were pretty cheap, but it is a half hour to get here, and it is a shared taxi, so you're gonna stop somewhere else along the way. It wasn't too bad. It probably added 5 minutes total to our trip, but it wasn't too bad. 10 passengers, 3 locations, 5 hungry travelers, 1 you. Now I'm going to talk about our check-in process here at the Morgan Resort. It's kind of a small lobby area, and frankly, the resort is clearly not that big. They did not ask us to come with our ID, but they did ask us at the desk to present our ID. So I showed my ID. Laura did not have her ID ready, but they did ask me to actually email it to them, which I did do because I do have a photocopy of her ID on my phone, which I'm lucky we have it because we only thought of that starting yesterday. So if you do come here, be sure you come armed with your ID to hand that over to them when you check in. All to say, I wouldn't say it was like the warmest greeting in the whole wide world, but we're here.
They let us in.
They let us in. We got a band. It was only $50 per day, per person, and they didn't charge us for the 3-year-old. So for $200 and then $40 or $45 US taxi to get here. Not a bad excursion for about 5-6 hours to sit at a beautiful location.
Let's go on a little walking tour of the area. There were small bathrooms which we used as changing rooms at the end of the day. We didn't have a cabana, but they were beautiful. There was volleyball and cornhole set up, but you could tell that this area was often used to host wedding ceremonies, which I can only imagine are gorgeous. There's a snack bar and a swim-up bar, and lots of other areas to explore. But we were getting hungry, so we flagged down a server to order lunch from the kitchen, delivered right to our seats. They look delicious. Suspicious. The flavors are all really good. So if you don't have a dietary restriction, I do recommend it. But if you have a dietary restriction, be careful. I went up and got a menu and we were really excited because when we looked online, there weren't any allergen markings. And this menu has allergen markings. Suspicious allergen markings because it doesn't say that the tiger prawns have shellfish or items that obviously contain dairy. Don't list that they have dairy as an allergen. But in general, there's some awareness that was more than we thought before. So when our server walked up, we thought maybe they could help close the gap so we could order something safely. And the first thing we asked about was ceviche. I said, can you tell us if the ceviche has shellfish in it or not, because we don't eat shellfish. And he said, oh, I don't know, I don't eat raw food. And it became obvious that he wasn't going to go ask questions on our behalf and that we needed to order things that looked safe as is. Rice bowl and asked for them to leave the cheese off the top, and it came with a yogurt mango vinaigrette. And we said, instead, can we sub in a different dressing that doesn't have yogurt so that it's dairy free? Because we were trying to avoid gluten and dairy here. We asked if we could sub in the passion fruit vinaigrette, and when the West Indies rice bowl showed up, we said, is that the passion fruit? And he kind of looked at us funny, and then he left. And then he brought back this, which I think is just a shot of passion fruit juice and not a vinaigrette. Here's to our health. Well, it's a sugar shot, if nothing else. The first order of tacos came. They seemed like they might be okay, but they forgot the second order. And when the second order came, it had these deep fried capers on top that had some kind of battering on the outside of them. Guys, I don't know. Or maybe it'll be minimal and our bodies will be able to handle it. But if you're coming here with any kind of severe allergy, any kind of like celiac or strong reactions to cross-contamination, this is not the place for you. Bring packaged snacks.
Ashley said a bad word again.
Oh no.
A poop.
Oh, gross. Good luck.
Despite what Laura is saying about allergens, which is absolutely valid, completely 101 gazillion %, the food was delicious. Those fish tacos were really good. They had really good salt to them. They had a garlickiness to them. The taco shells were crispy, even though it's kind of, there's a humidity out here. It was great. We ordered the West Indies salad, which came to us as basically a bowl of rice with a few pieces of avocado, a few pieces of apple, a few pieces of black beans, and a few red roasted peppers. And we were like, well, that's kind of an interesting, but okay. It was so good. So, I will say, whatever your reservations might be, the food itself tastes delicious. My margarita, and I am an aficionado of margaritas, were incredibly good.
Yeah, let me go tell you a joke. What do you do when you put a chicken and a mocktail together? A cocktail.
That's really good. Whoa! How'd that happen?
I don't know.
I even put the sunblock on.
Wow.
As we wrapped up our final day, we felt pampered and relaxed. Across the parking lot was a taxi stand where we caught the last few planes taking off before we started the ride back to the ship. In the end, we said we'd happily go back to St. Martin and the Morgan Resort. It cost a little more than our St. Thomas day, but this was our favorite kind of day on a Caribbean cruise. And we think resort day passes are pure genius. Have you ever gotten a day pass to a resort? He's so sleepy. By the end of the taxi ride, we had 3 sleeping kids. That is a good day in a pool. Our taxi driver said that there's only 1 ship in port today, but yesterday there were 3, and tomorrow there will be 4. So it can get very crowded here, I'm sure. We hope this gave you some great ideas for your Royal Caribbean cruise, and you'll check out our full series about the wonder of the seas. We'll see you next time, travelers.